The wind swept across the endless plains of Montana, carrying with it the faint cry of coyotes and the rustle of wheat that stood tall against the horizon. James Callahan tightened the reins of his horse as he rode toward the wooden porch of his ranch house, a place that had been both his sanctuary and his prison since his wife's passing 3 years ago. The ranch was vast, rich with cattle and land, but for James, the wealth of it all only emphasized the emptiness that lingered in every corner of his home. His daughter, Clara, just 6 years old, was the only bright ember left in his quiet world, her laughter often echoing through the barns, softening the weight of his loneliness. But he knew he could not raise her alone forever. Letters had been exchanged, arrangements made in secrecy, and now a stagecoach from the east was rolling its way toward his ranch, carrying a woman he had never met, a woman who had agreed to come west to be his bride. When she stepped off the coach, James felt the weight of his choice settle in his chest. She was not what he expected, soft-spoken, with kind eyes that seemed to carry their own grief, a suitcase clasped tightly in her hands, as if she were holding on to the last piece of her old life. James cleared his throat, unsure how to begin. And before he could speak, Clara rushed forward, her golden curls bouncing, her small hands wrapping around the woman's dress. "Papa," she whispered, glancing up at him with wide eyes. "Is she the one?" James only nodded, his jaw tight, uncertain if he had brought salvation to his ranch, or trouble that would haunt them both. The days that followed were filled with silence and subtle glances. The woman, Emily, moved carefully through the house, her presence like a warm light that hesitated to grow brighter, afraid it might not belong. James kept his distance, his pride battling with an ache he would not admit. But Clara was different. She followed Emily everywhere, tugging at her skirts, asking questions, and pressing wildflowers into her hands as if she were planting roots for her to stay. At night, James would catch glimpses of them by the fire, Clara curled against Emily's side, Emily's hand brushing softly through the child's curls, her eyes misty with something James could not yet name. He had ordered a wife for the ranch, a companion to share the burden of work and silence. But he had not expected this, the way his daughter clung to her, the way Emily's gaze softened every time she looked at the girl, as if Clara were stitching shut an old wound inside her. Then came the evening that changed everything. The storm outside rattled the shutters, and Clara's small voice broke through the thunder as she clutched Emily's hand. "Papa," she said with a courage far too big for her years. "Can she stay forever?" The words froze James in place, his heart pounding like the hooves of 1,000 horses. He looked at Emily then, not as a stranger, not as an arrangement, but as a woman, who might just be the missing piece to the family he thought he had lost forever. And in that moment, James realized that sometimes it isn't the land or the cattle that saves a man's soul. It's the tender voice of a child, who knows love when she sees it,